Hello, it's Squadaloo back with another episode of Let's Play Mario Kart WiiMix in VR. In this episode, we're going to be tackling Mario Kart 7's tracks. Mario Kart 7. We're just going to get this out of the way, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are going to hate me for saying this. I think Mario Kart 7's better than Mario Kart Wii, but I get why people don't like it, because there's just this quality to Mario Kart 7 that just feels weirdly unambitious compared to Mario Kart Wii. It just feels like Mario Kart Wii was like really stepping things up a notch, and then Mario Kart 7, it added hang gliding and it added underwater, but something about those gimmicks just didn't land as well. But at the same time, I feel like this game is severely underrated. I think that it has, and in particular, I noticed it when I was playing these tracks in Mario Kart Wii. A lot of these tracks are kind of bangers. There's a few that I don't really care that much for, but I really feel like a lot of people just kind of overlook a lot of these tracks, and I feel like on average, this game has better new tracks than Mario Kart Wii. I don't know if any of them are as good as Koopa Cape. Actually, I take that back. There's a few that I like more than Koopa Cape. I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, Mario Kart 7 had Koopa Cape, so that doesn't matter as much. Anyways, let's just get started with Toad Circuit. Toad Circuit, I would say, is actually the first starter course in the series. Oh, I forgot that I actually should call out who's making these, since it's no longer just all Nintendo. SKMaric made this version of Toad Circuit. But anyways, so I would say Toad Circuit is the first starter course in the series that I feel like is not a drag to play. After a while. Like, Luigi Circuit, Mario Kart Wii, obviously I said a lot of bullshit about that course, about how much that course irritates the hell out of me. Obviously, like, some of the earlier ones, like, they're good first courses, but they're just first courses. And when you have to play online, you really want a first course that you don't just hate playing. And I feel like there's just enough going on in this course that I don't hate playing Toad Circuit. Obviously, I'm a little bummed about its inclusion in the Booster Pass. Not so much because of its inclusion in the Booster Pass, but just because there were so many good courses from this game that I would have much rather seen come back. But at least we got the fantastic remix that I have playing here in the background. I just wish that maybe if they'd gone with one of the circuits, Mario Circuit from this game would have been a better choice. But, I mean, it's still just a perfectly fine track. I'm just... Well, fuck me, I guess. Are you... Jesus Christ! Okay. Well, we're back on the road again after being stopped for like 15 seconds. But yeah, I mean, it's still a figure 8, but it's just enough of a fuck you, game! Just enough of a modified figure 8 that I think it's still entertaining to race, and not let me try and actually win this race. There's just enough shortcuts and stuff to make it entertaining. Now, fuck you all, I'm gonna win the race. Might as well talk about the item balance in Mario Kart 7, given everything that just unfolded. I definitely like the item balance a lot more in Mario Kart 7 than Mario Kart Wii. It still irritates me in some ways. The most notable ways in which it irritates me. There's still too many blue shells, although I definitely think it's a much bigger improvement to have the blue shell go down the middle of the track and have a chance to hit other racers. What else? There's something else. I don't like some of the new items that they added. The Tanuki tail kind of sucked. The fire flower is irritating for how much it's spammable. But I don't loathe those the way that I loathe a lot of the items they were added for Mario Kart Wii. But yeah. I still feel like there's too many blue shells in Mario Kart 7. I feel like Mario Kart 8 did the best job of balancing that stuff. Obviously, here's Daisy Hills by Atlas. I will say, I don't know what the hell's going on here. For some reason, when I play this in VR, half the skybox is missing. That is absolutely not the case when I don't play it in VR, so that is not the track maker's fault or anything. That is entirely my fault. I suspect it's because there's a tool in Dolphin VR which you use to hide certain geometry in VR, which you need to do in order to not have like certain things clipping into your eye and stuff. And I suspect that code is interfering with the skybox in this course and this course only. Obviously, should probably talk about gliders, given there are no gliders in Mario Kart Wii, so everything has been replaced. Gliders... Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about with the item balance. Gliders, I think, are a fun mechanic, but I feel like 7 overuses them. And the big problem I have with 7's gliders is how vulnerable you're left to red shells when using a glider. Because even sections that were cannons in previous Mario Kart, where you're previously invulnerable, red shells will easily just catch up and murder you in Mario Kart 7 while you're in a cannon, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. And I felt like that happened a ton when I was playing online in this game, to the point where I really dreaded cannon sections. But anyways, Daisy Hills here is a very fun second course. I like the music. I like the setup of like going up the hill and then flying down the hill past all the balloons. Very fun little setup. Not the greatest course in the world, but I mean, usually that's just kind of how these second courses are. Still your kind of beginner course, but it's not a beginner course you just dread coming up online. Really, most of the courses, I would say, in Mario Kart 7, that's the best thing I can say for them, is there are very few of these courses where you really just dread seeing them come up online. And that's actually true of Mario Kart 7 in general, because, my god, the retro selection in that game is absolutely incredible. They really burned through a lot of the best retros. However, I would say the only new course that I would dread coming up online is the next one, Cheep Cheep Lagoon. Normally, in the past, I've kind of talked about how the cadence for most Mario Kart games is you have your starter course. Your second course is like a starter course, but it's a little more fancy themed. I think the game is crashing. Why is this crashing? Why is it not loading? What? There's a weird error that I don't recall ever seeing before, but it seems like it's able to progress, and I think it actually works fine on console, so that was odd. So Cheep Cheep Lagoon. Normally I talk about, like, first course is beginner course, so it's whatever. Second course is like a beginner course but themed, and then the third course is where things really kick off. Except this is your third course in Mario Kart 7, and it somehow feels less interesting than the first two courses. There's just, it's basically a glorified oval. Which, granted, there's been some that are even worse. I honestly wasn't sure what would happen when I went that route. Seems like I figured there would at least be a little cannon to get me going a little bit further than that. But yeah, this course just kind of sucks. This version was by Tock. I don't know if you saw that. I have to cut out some of this because I saw my desktop. I don't want you seeing my desktop when I've got all my recording stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I'd say this version... I guess this version's probably a little bit worse than the actual one in Mario Kart 7. Because you don't have the glider section here, and you don't have the water physics, which are the only thing that make this course slightly interesting. I know a lot of people hate the water physics in this game and 8, and I don't really know why, because they don't change the game that much. I just feel like they changed just a tiny bit, but it just seems like some people Particularly, we'll talk about it in a later course, very specific later course. Some people just fucking hate the underwater courses. I don't know why. I think it's fine. In fact, if anything, I kind of wish they would almost change things more. Also, this is kind of breaking my brain, because I keep feeling like every time I go into water, I should lose that. And then, obviously, it doesn't count as water, because it's just visual, because Mario Kart Wii didn't have water. But anyways, that's that course. Completely and utterly forgettable. And God, I think that would... I know people hate that Mario Circuit, or Toad Circuit came back. What if this course had come back in the Booster Pass? That would have just sucked. You wouldn't even have gotten good music, because the music isn't even that memorable. Anyways, next up, we got ourselves a real good one. Guy Bazaar. This is just a pleasant course, I would say. Is it the greatest course in the world? No. This version's by Atlas. Is it the greatest course in the world? No. But I think it's just the right level of fun for a Mushroom Cup course finisher. I believe the story behind this one is, in case you didn't really know, because I feel like it's kind of a thing that's people have kind of forgotten about, including myself. I kind of forget about it a lot, which is the fact that Retro Studios actually worked on Mario Kart 7, and I think they mostly worked on, appropriately enough, the retro courses. But if I can recall the story correctly, this course was actually made by Retro Studios, somebody at Retro Studios. And the person at Nintendo overseeing the project or something was super impressed with this course or something. Which I think is perfect, because it has just that right level of it doesn't feel like something that was made out of Nintendo's house. It feels like something that fits perfectly with Nintendo. So the fact that it was made... Actually, I'd have to look it up. Does that technically make this the very first... No, maybe not potentially only, because of the other Retro Studios courses. Is this the first Mario Kart course that it was designed outside of Japan? I would guess yes. Yeah. Which is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's just a fun desert course. In fact, when I was talking about desert courses in Mario Kart Wii, favorite desert courses, I honestly forgot about this one. Don't know if I like this one more than Dry Ruins, but it's definitely up there. I still like Bone Dry Dunes more. I know a lot of people do not like Bone Dry Dunes. I think those people... Maybe it's because I drive sport bikes in Mario Kart 8. Most people do not, but I really don't get the hate for that track. I genuinely think people are just bad. I think people are just bad at it, and they hate it because they are bad at it. But yeah, no, this is a very fun course. I just like the night theme. I love Shy Guys. Obviously, my avatar is generally always a Shy Guy. I kind of wish Shy Guy were better in Mario Kart so I could actually play Shy Guy more. But yeah, no, just very solid course, very fun finale to the Mushroom Cup here. I'm actually going to have to pause this recording, because something about this head strap is really bothering my head right now and is really digging into it. And I got a headache from it. Anyways, that's it for the Mushroom Cup. Next up will be the Flower Cup, after I take a break. Alright. It's been a while. And by a while, I mean 2 weeks since I recorded the Mushroom Cup, so let's finally continue the Flower Cup now that I am in a playing mood again. Starting with Wuhu Loop, kind of touched on this in the Mario Kart Wii episode, so I'll kind of touch on it again. I feel like there's a lot of, this is kind of where people show their age, because I feel like when this game came out, it was mostly, teens and people my age in the early 20s talking about this game online, and we didn't really have any fondness of especially not a Wii Sports Resort because like there was a disastrous E3 presentation when Wii Sports Resort came out, and it felt like that they were just basically not making any games except like crap like that. So generally, I feel like the reception on this game's release was that the 2 Wuhu tracks were absolutely the worst. I wouldn't go that far, but I think having 2 of them is my issue as opposed to just 1 of them. But from a gameplay standpoint, my main issue with them, and I do think they're some of the worst tracks in the game personally. This version is by Funky Dude 15, Riidefi, and Zachruff. But mainly my problems with them is that I can tell they aren't designed for Mario Kart. Like, obviously they were reworked a little bit. They were reworked a little bit for Mario Kart. But they just really, like, a lot of Mario... It's like, well, this is technically the first 3-segment race. It's like, yeah, you're right, but it's only because this course wasn't designed to be small enough to be raced in a single lap. It's almost more of a technicality. I mean, it is fun to race on, but it's just like, I don't know. For the first segmented race, it just feels more like it's because the course wasn't designed. I guess the best way for me to put it is this feels like a course that somebody makes as a custom course where they port a course from a game that isn't really designed for Mario Kart into Mario Kart. That shortcut is actually... or that alternate path there is actually really hard in VR because I literally can't see it. Oops. But yeah. Obviously this serves as the traffic stage for this game. It's not my favorite traffic stage. That is also very hard in VR without being able to see the road. But yeah, I mean, it's not built for Mario Kart. It's basically, it's all I'm going to be repeating over and over. Obviously, Mario Kart Wii has no multi-segment support, so there's no, like, music changes or anything. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It just isn't... It just feels too sprawling for me, and it just does not feel like it's... I feel like I've literally done nothing but say that all race, but yeah, I think you get the point. And, I mean, the same is true of Maka Wuhu, as far as I'm concerned, so get ready to hear it a bunch then, too. But yeah, it also kind of brings up a problem I have with this game's Flower Cup in general, which is that I kind of feel like it's not so much that I have a problem with the individual tracks in this course. It's that I feel like this, or individual tracks in this cup, it's more that I feel like this cup has a lot of sameness. There's a lot of there's a lot of just cliffs and like grassy hills and like trees and blue sky between Wuhu Loop, Mario Circuit, and Rock Mountain. There's just like, well, really individual courses. I'd say Wuhu Loop and Rock Mountain are some of my least favorites in this game. But Mario Circuit is actually good. Speaking of which, Mario Circuit. This is a weird Mario Circuit because I never realized how much I liked this course. This version by ZPL and Bri. Or Bri, I don't know. I never realized how much I liked this version of this course until I played this mod of it. And it was like playing a bunch of Mario Circuits back to back to back to back. I realized this might be my favorite one, actually. It's either this or the GameCube one. Double Dash one. I don't know. It's just... I mean, there isn't a ton you can really say about a good Mario Circuit, other than it's got some turns and stuff. But I mean, I like the visuals in this version. I just like the layout. I think the layout's pretty just fun. There's a good mix of like turns and gimmicks and stuff. Something's always happening. Maybe GameCube one, like playing this right now, maybe the GameCube one slightly better. I don't know. I've been looking at this course a lot recently for reasons, but yeah, I think this is just a very enjoyable course. If there's one part of this course I don't like, it's this bit. Obviously the visuals are very nice and stuff. I have no idea if I'm bragging a shell. Okay. The visuals are nice on that section, but I just don't like the gentle turn there. But like this part's cool. And I just noticed there's checkerboard floors there, and I should make note of that for reasons. But yeah, I mean, this is a very solid port of this. It's just it's got a good flow to this track. Other than there's very little like just downtime in this version. The only part where there's downtime from a gameplay standpoint is this section here, but at least there's the nice visuals of the berry blossoms. Obviously, got another incorporation of Peach's Castle. This time, you actually go through it, which is kind of really weird when you think about it, because it means Peach's Castle's just hollowed out empty shell. I guess they just destroy all the rooms that were in there, but whatever. It's not like Mario Kart makes sense anyway. The castle's technically changed locations like 60 times, so yeah, just a very solid Mario circuit. It's just a shame that it's in a cup with a bunch of other visually very similar tracks. It's really the only problem with it. Anyways, moving on. To Music Park, which for some reason I forgot existed, even though it's probably the best cup in this track, or the best track in this cup. Although I will say this course, this version's by Atlas, by the way. I will say this course, I feel like I don't love it as much as some people. When this game came out, I feel like this was generally called out as one of the best tracks in this game. And I wouldn't agree with that. But I do think it's good that they brought it back for Mario Kart 8, just because so many people love this track. I think one of my problems with this track is, and well, particularly with this iteration, because obviously there's no fun sound riffs as you go over the different instruments, is for a track called Music Park, the music isn't great. Oh, also, I will say, I feel bad for saying this, but I hate it when, like, I'm fine with custom item boxes. In fact, I've used them before, depending on the track. But I hate it when, like, random visual effects are changed on a per-track basis. So, like, the fact that the blooper stuff is music-related is just like, why? That doesn't make sense. Yep, time to die. I'm surprised we've gone, what, 3 courses without that? Although I guess I wasn't doing very well in the first track, so they didn't even have really an opportunity to use it on me. But yeah. Overall, it's a fun course, back and forth. I just realized that I know I started talking about it, but I think I may have gotten distracted. I think my main problem is for a course called Music Park, I wish it had better music. The music's okay, but I guess to me, if you've got like a bunch of instruments about that are like orchestral instruments, going with like a weird techno beat makes 0 sense. It just, like, I don't know. I feel like there should be more trumpets and like violins or something. And it especially stands out in Mario Kart 8, where like there's phenomenal music everywhere with live instruments, and then you just have Music Park, which is the... Oh, also, I haven't even talked about that yet. So I actually didn't talk about it in the first episode, because or in the first cup, because at the time I didn't even realize Cheep Cheep Lagoon had a different name in Europe. But this marks the beginning, as far as I'm concerned, of the major name differences between countries. And overall, I think Europe comes out ahead on that, because in the United States, or in NTSC territory, this course is called Music Park. In Europe, this is Melody Motorway, which is an infinitely better name as far as I'm concerned. I love that name. And I've seen a lot of people argue like, yeah, but nobody in the United States calls things motorways, so it just wouldn't make sense. It's like, I've never heard anybody refer to anything as a motorway, but if you asked me what a motorway was, I would still probably be able to guess that it's like a highway. Like, I don't need to use it in my daily life to get what it means or think that it would be a really nice name. And just the alliteration there is so much better than Music Park. I don't know. Although, next up, we have Rock Mountain, which I feel has the opposite issue as far as territories are concerned, where the US name comes out on top because it's both a rocky mountain and there's a rock soundtrack, and it gives it like that drive of like, yeah, Rock Mountain. And then in Europe, it's Alpine Pass. And to me, Alpine Pass sounds like it would have been a good name for DK Pass, and not... Like, Alpine Pass, to me, sounds like we're going through a nice drive through the mountains. And this is more like, we're hurtling down the cliffs! Yeehaw! Although, I will say, this version is by... Oh, I didn't say who... No, I did say who the last one was by, I think. It was Atlas. This one's by MrKoeiKoei and Zilly. I don't have any idea how to say that. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I will say, I guess technically, Alpine Pass does fit the gameplay on this track, because I really just don't like this track very much at all. This is another, it seems like it's kind of a love it or hate it track. I mean, I guess I don't hate it, but I do think it's pretty lame. It's very... It feels like it should be in the Mushroom Cup, because it's very much like, oh my god, there's gliding in this game! Isn't that crazy? Except you're mostly just, like, gliding over everything, and so it's just not very exciting at all. Also, the camera angle in the version on 3DS sucked for this section. It's actually infinitely better in this. In fact, I would honestly say, I think I actually like this version more, because I realize I like this track more without the gliding. And I think a big problem I have with very, very long gliding sections is, like, if you don't get hit, you just fly in a straight... Like, you fly in an optimal straight line, basically. You fly through those trees, and you fly over a little bit of the grass here. And you usually land about here. And then here you kind of cut a little to the right, so you can cut out a little bit of the grass. But if you do get hit, then you just lose a bunch of time, and you're just kind of fucked. I have no idea if I'm bragging something. But yeah, so I actually think it's more fun when you can't glide. Except for this, I do like this bit when you glide. The whole, like, either cut off start of the first lap, but you're gonna get screwed if you get hit, or, like, safely land on the right. Because that's better than, like, you're over a giant gap and you get... Or, to me, that's more interesting than the normal course is flying, but you fly over everything, versus if you get hit, you not only get hit out of the sky, but then you also, like, you're not even... It's not just that you're getting slow because you're getting hit, but then you also have to fall all the way down. I don't know. But I probably just contradicted myself like 16 times over the last minute. But either way, this is definitely not the worst course in this game, because... Where'd that go? Okay, there it is. Oh, shit. Stay back, Luigi. Okay, we're good. But yeah, I mean, I would say overall the only 4 courses in this game that I would say I just, like, don't care about on any level are Rock Mountain, Cheep Cheep Lagoon, and then the 2 Wuhu courses. Like, if I never saw any of those again, I would not be that sad. Not that I'm saying, like, I would be... Like, I would not be sad if I never saw them again, but obviously people have nostalgia for the Wuhu courses, so it'd be okay if they came back, I guess. But I'm not certainly going to be campaigning for it. So that is the Flower Cup. And now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Mario Kart 7 Star Cup. I don't know why I just went to time trials.
Let's go.
Boy. I know I said the Flower Cup was a little disappointing. Or a little samey and kind of disappointing, I guess, because it has 2 of my least favorite tracks in the game. This Star Cup is a serious contender for best cup of all time, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like the Wii Star Cup had... The Wii Star Cup had 2 courses, which I would say are probably better than any of the courses in this cup. But the other 2 are kind of eh. This one has 3... Just literally my 3 favorite courses in this game in a row. These 3. And people love Maka Wuhu. So I don't, obviously I just said. But ooh, in terms of average quality, it is hard to beat this cup. It's either this, maybe the Star Cup of Mario Kart 8 beats this. Yeah. See, any other cup that I think has, like, I could think of has, like, better courses than this one usually has 1 or 2 where I'm just like, yeah. Kind of, I mean, this one has Maka Wuhu, but I think, like, even worse than that, as far as I'm concerned, but... Yeah, I think the Star Cup in Mario Kart 8 might be better. Just, Jesus, Mount Wario and Sunshine Airport. But this one really holds up. So anyway, Piranha Plant Slide. Once again, in the EU versus NTSC battle, I feel like the EU comes out on top. This one is by Atlas. Piranha Plant. I literally call this course Piranha Plant Pipeway most of the time. And it's not like I'm like trying to make a statement. It's just when I try to remember this course's name, that's where my mind goes, because it's so much of a better name than Piranha Plant Slide. Yes, I get that there's like... I mean, I guess the slide name makes a little more sense in 8 Deluxe, or 8 and 8 Deluxe than it does here, because at least there like actually are pieces of a slide at this section. In fact, I always kind of get weirded out when I replay the original, because I've definitely played the one in 8 significantly more than this version now. I don't know why I didn't just do the boost thing there. So I always kind of get weirded when I go through that pipe and it like looks completely differently. Some people actually say that this version, and I think they have I keep hitting left trigger to drop that and it never does. Some people say they actually like the way this one looks more than the one in 8 because, and I think they have some of a point, I still like the version 8 more. This version's a lot more stylized to fit in with like the whole Super Mario Bros. 1 Underground theme. Like, this is much more blue. The trees in the above ground section are like very clearly the trees. That part kind of sucks in this iteration, I guess. But yeah, so I can kind of get that. But yeah, no, this is just a very fun course all around. A lot of fun moving water and stuff. I do still like the version in 8 more, just because 8, I think, has better physics. and is still, I think, I like the visuals still. There's one other thing. Oh, yeah, now I remember. So the one interesting thing, I think, is coming up here. I think it's odd that in 8, this one section is mirrored. In 8, the right path has one set of blocks that you have to go across. And here, in the original, the left path had the one set of blocks you had to go across. I cannot get through that section without, like, randomly getting thrown to one side. Okay, avoid that thing like the plague. This version, I feel like, does need a little bit of work with how brutal that Piranha plant is, because the Piranha plant doesn't do the whole, like, left and right thing. But overall, very fun track. Oh, I guess there's a slide. I forgot there was a slide at the very beginning of this track. That is still not enough to call this Piranha plant slide. As far as I'm concerned, Piranha plant pipeway just... I'm a big fan of alliterations. Obviously, Melody Motorway and Piranha plant pipeway are just inherently going to sound better to me in that respect. But to me, there's a quality, a fun quality. It's like Piranha plant pipeway sounds like fun, whereas like Piranha plant slide sounds just kind of like literal. I don't know. Wario Shipyard. This is a weird one, because I actually think this is the best course in this game. In 7. The original, as far as the original is concerned. And I feel like maybe I was just seeing bias towards my opinion. This version's by apps, by the way. But it seemed like when this game came out, a lot of people agreed this was one of the best tracks in the game. And now all of a sudden I realized that anytime anybody talks about the tracks in this game, people are like, this is one of the most forgettable tracks of all time. This course kind of sucks. This course is just lousy. It's underwater. And I don't fucking get it at all. There's a real hatred people have for the water gimmicks in this game, and well, not this game, Mario Kart Wii. This game, Mario Kart 7, that I just don't get. Like, they change your physics slightly, but like not enough to cause like any sort of problem. Also, yeah, that bit's obviously really janky and weird here. But like, it just seems like anytime there's a water level in this game, everyone's like, yeah, it's terrible. And I don't know, I just love this track. The music's kind of but I don't know, I think it uses the underwater gimmick great. I think it uses the gliding gimmick great there at the very end, because it's not too long or anything. But yeah, no, I think that this is once again another banger for Wario. Wario really, I mean, obviously I don't like Wario's Gold Mine as much, and I said as much in the last review, but literally, like, I think half of Wario's tracks end up being, like, my favorite in each game. Like, that man, it just fits Wario's personality to have a really, like, a track with, like, cool shit in it. And so, like, this bit here of, like, going up on the crashed ship and going around the deck, that's just awesome. That's such a neat idea for a track, like, visually and just on to race on, and it's so satisfying. I think it's just cool. I just think it's neat. I will say I feel like I'm an idiot because I tend to notice a lot more things when I'm playing in VR than I do when I'm playing normally, obviously, because I can, like, look around and stuff. And I don't even think I realized until I played this particular version in VR that, like, the starting line is technically undercover in a building. I don't know, I just thought it was out in the open. It's just one of those little things that you only notice really in VR, I guess. Well, not only. I guess if you're not an idiot, you would notice it. But apparently Wario's brain has stopped working on his own track, as far as the mini-map is concerned. But yeah, no, this course is really awesome. Really awesome. Did Wario always have a Viking helmet in this track on that sign? I literally only just noticed that. That's odd. But yeah, no, I really like that track. And the blocks on the side all have coins on them? I swear, this is not a bit. I'm literally only just noticing these things right now. I wonder if this... Is that... I'm assuming that's in the original, because I'm pretty sure this is literally just a direct port. As far as the model is concerned. Huh. Also, I guess the replay cam has just given up as far as following anything. It is kind of... Actually, it's kind of fun watching the little racers go around. Oh, it's back. And completely wrong. So moving on. So we've already had one really good course. One fantastic course, I feel like. And then you got Neo Bowser City. First of all, I would strongly argue this is a circuit course, before we get too far into it. In fact, the game's internal files, this version's by Atlas, by the way, the game's internal files actually refer to this as Advanced Circuit in Mario Kart 7, so they know that it's a circuit track. But I feel like this course is a distinction of being in two different games and being one of the best tracks in both games for completely different reasons in both games. Because this original one is, I think, phenomenal because it's just a really, really good circuit track. It's basic. Like, they knew that the layout was basic and there's no gimmicks because it's a circuit track. That's how circuit tracks work, for the most part. So they made up for that with just a really fucking awesome theme. Like, a completely new and original theme for Mario Kart. Not as far as the music's concerned. The music's obviously just a bunch of remixes, but, like, in terms of the visual theme of this track, like, flying cars and, like, the buildings are shaped like the mountains in the background, and just a future theme, and it just kicks ass. And so it's a really, really, like, playing Mario Kart 7 online near launch time was great because, like, this was the track that I felt like separated the men from the boys, so to speak. Because, like, anybody in any room could, like, catch up because of some items and stuff, you know. I mean, it just happens. It's Mario Kart, that's by design. But anytime this course came up, you could immediately tell who knew their shit and who was getting by on items, because the people who knew their shit hugged every turn tight and would just break away. And so I had some real great races on this track back then. But anyways, God, this track's going... I mean, you can tell I'm having fun on this track because, like, I can't believe it's already the third track, or third lap. Time has flown by so fast. But, like, so... Then it comes to Mario Kart 8, and it's like they said, oh crap, we've already got a bunch of courses that already do the same thing very well. We got Dragon Driftway, we got Yoshi Circuit, and obviously they're probably all getting worked on around the same time because they're all in the DLC. And it's like they're like, they knew they couldn't just have this course as is, so they put it in the rain and made everything slick as hell, and made for what is, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely the most diabolical Mario Kart course ever made. And I love it. Because, like, again, it separates the men from the boys, but not in terms of, like, hey, they know they could really drift good lines, and they know all their lines, and they know exactly how to handle their kart, but more like, they can... It separates the men from the boys because they can live through the track on Neo Bowser City. You get this thing in 200cc in Mario Kart 8, and, like, that is, as far as I'm concerned, the true Rainbow Road of the entire series, in terms of, like, it's your final exam. Are you good at Mario Kart? Can you fucking control this game? Then we're all having a big race, 200cc, Neo Bowser City. Like, let's test that shit. Yeah, no, I love this course. In fact, as I'm talking now, I think I might like this course the most in this game. But I also don't know if that's because of Mario Kart 8's version as well. Obviously, that's a very love it or hate it course, and I absolutely understand why people would hate it in 8. But yeah, no, I love the theme of this course. I just love the visuals. I think it's just a really fun layout. I don't know. I'm a sucker for good circuit courses. What can I say? Then we have I almost call it the wet fart at the end of the cup, and I feel like that's a little harsh. It's just, boy, you had 3 bangers in a row, and then you get this one, and boy, it exists. And I wonder if a big reason why I don't like this. Well, look, I already just said it like 968,453 times in Wuhu loop. This one's by Funky Dude 15 and Wexos, by the way. It doesn't feel like it's made for Mario Kart because it's not made for Mario Kart. There we go. The other reason I think I hate this course, like, it's kind of another Wii Luigi circuit situation where I hate this course more than I hate the layout of this course, because when the game came out, there was a glitch, and I'm sure a bunch of people know about that, where you could skip most of this course. Coming up here, all you'd have to do, and it was super easy to execute, all you have to do basically is go up here, you drift right, hard right, you jump there, and you hit the wall, and I was looking to the right, and that got me all thrown off. And Lakitu would just put you on the above section of the track. I went by there. And so, fucking every other race online was on this track because people just went for easy wins. Because you either knew that trick or you didn't. And you would immediately eliminate at least half of the room every time by going for that. So I don't know. Did I not even need a mushroom for that? No, whatever. But yeah. And so everyone picked this, and I was so goddamn sick of this course. Not only was I goddamn sick of this course, I didn't even get to see most of this course because I never got to see the second section because everyone just skips it. In fact, to date, I still kind of forget how the second section goes because of that. But then also you have this big glider section. I've kind of talked about it previously. Long glider sections in 7 were kind of irritating because of the way it was really easy to get knocked out of the sky. Again, I probably prefer this more than that. Not that I dislike gliding as a mechanic, I just feel like it was used better in Mario Kart 8, where it was like kind of short sections to like punctuate an action. But yeah, no, that course is alright. I just feel like the concept of like going up and down a mountain's been done a lot better in the past. Also, I didn't talk about it in the last couple things, as far as the differences between the Europe and the North American track names. Obviously, America ekes out a second win with Neo Bowser City. That is way better name than Koopa City, because like the Neo, just immediately it's like it's a future city, whereas Koopa City just sounds like it would be like a Mushroom City course. Wario Shipyard and Wario's Galleon, I'm split on. I think I probably prefer Galleon, because Shipyard almost implies there'd be like shipping containers and stuff. But also, the whole course isn't on the Galleon, it's like around the Galleon. So the Shipyard part makes more sense. Even though Shipyard makes more sense because it's a location, but that isn't what a shipyard is. Either way, I believe both names are wrong, and this should have been called Wario Shipwreck. So, that's my feelings on that. Anyway, Special Cup, DK Jungle. If you didn't know, Retro Studios worked Mario Kart 7, you sure do now with this course. I'll be honest. This version, I don't think I said who that last track was by. This version's by Skipper93653. I'll be honest, I don't really like Donkey Kong Country Returns, because I feel like wasn't what I like in Donkey Kong. I feel like there's too many levels where like shit just collapses or explodes and you kind of just have to react to it, particularly with like the rocket barrel and minecart shit. And there's way too much of that. I don't know, I tried playing through it and I got bored before I even got that far into it. I've never played Tropical Freeze, but everything I've heard from people who liked who didn't like Donkey Kong Country Returns in the same ways I didn't like it, seems to have really liked Tropical Freeze, so I probably should play that. And I absolutely would have if it weren't $60 on Switch. Like, I'd want to pay $30 with how old that game is now. But anyways, this actual track is good. I don't really have a ton to say about it. I'm glad that there's another Donkey Kong track that's actually a freaking jungle and not a snowy mountain. I don't know why we kept going with that. I'd say it's... Do I like this better than DK Mountain? I'm going to say yes, I do. So I'd say this is probably the best DK track. Not like one of my favorites in this game, but it's a very good track. That's like, to me, that's... Jesus. God, that was scary. To me, though, that's like kind of why I think this game is better than Mario Kart Wii, is because even the Mario Kart Wii, I feel like, has a few really, really good tracks, a few pretty good tracks, and quite a few tracks that are just like mediocre to like not very good. Whereas I feel like the average, like my average opinion on the Mario Kart 7 tracks, even if some of them, well, I don't know, because like Wario, I think I have as much fun with Wario Shipyard as I do with, say, like Maple Freeway. Now that I think about it. But even before I was gonna say that, I was gonna say, even if 7 doesn't necessarily have quite the level of bangers that like Wii does, the average quality of track is just very high in comparison to previous games, in my opinion. Like, I say this track like, yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but I think like I would still rather race on this track than most of the tracks in Mario Kart Wii. And definitely true of all the Mario Kart games before that. I just feel like, yeah, Mario Kart 7 has just some very good tracks. Like, the average quality is just there, in my opinion. Oh, the one thing I was going to say, one thing that really bothers me about this track, Mario Kart 8, is... oops, I accidentally tapped something wrong there. Mario Kart 8, that song is like a really nice jazzy rendition of DK Jungle, and you have a jazz band / rock band, I guess, doing all the music for your game, and they like didn't remix it at all. And they certainly didn't use live instruments. And I feel like there was a lot of... I was actually in the car recently, like a true fucking nerdy idiot, was listening to the entire soundtrack of Mario Kart 8 through history, in a playlist. And you realized how many shortcuts they took, kind of, with the actual Mario Kart 8. And I would almost say, like, if they're taking shortcuts in terms of the visuals for the booster pass, the one thing they're not taking shortcuts on is the music. Because every single song in the booster pass has at least some live instrument, as far as I can tell. Even small things like, I wish they had remixed the Super Mario Kart circuit theme with some instruments, but you can tell that they at least got the drummer to sit down and like fucking drum it out for that. Whereas you could tell in like Mario Kart 8, like there are songs like DK Jungle where I just felt like they're like, we don't have time, and so it's just a bunch of synthetic horns and saxophones. And part of me, I know they'll never do it. I really wish before they were done with the booster pass, they would actually go back and do a second pass on some of those songs. Not that the soundtrack was ever terrible at Mario Kart 8. In fact, it's by far the best in the series. As you could tell, because I basically took every single remix for these packs. That's enough ranting. Rosalina's Ice World is a very, very weird track. I feel like there's always one track that I like more than the average player does. This version is by Mr. 9 Skipper 93653. To me, this is that course in Mario Kart 7 where when this game came out, nobody fucking talked about this course. And every time I was online, it's weird because I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite courses in this game, but it felt like every time I was online, I would vote for it because no one else would. And I just like it. I don't love it. I like it quite a bit. And if you were to ask me, like, as far as what courses do you really wish they had brought back for Mario Kart 8, now that the booster pass is, like, clearly... I mean, as far as data leaks are concerned, we're not getting any more Mario Kart 7 tracks in Mario Kart 8. But which ones do I feel like they should have brought back? Wario Shipyard would be my first answer. But then it would probably be this course. I don't know. It's just a pleasant course. And then Guy Bazaar would be my third answer. It is very weird, though. Like, I mean, this course is, like, very odd to just say, it's Rosalina's Ice World. What makes it Rosalina? I don't know, maybe we should just put space shit next to it. Like, Rosalina has nothing to do with ice. I don't know. It just feels like it was very much a case of, like, they're like, well, we gotta give everyone their own course. And we gotta have an ice level. Yeah, well, Rosalina doesn't have a course yet. Let's just give it to her. Also, okay, he's probably gotten a bullet bill, so he's caught a head. You may have caught a glimpse there in the distance of Wario, looks like. The AI doesn't have a problem on this course. Particular iteration of this course. Which is... that... My brain just stopped working. Because I got distracted by seeing those double penguins, because that's the property of, like, small penguin objects, is that it gets mirrored by that axis. Okay, Wario's having the problem right now. Good. He brought my brain back to where it was supposed to be. So it looks like there's a little ramp there, and the spawn is actually respawn for falling into it is a little too close to the unboosted ramp, and so the AI doesn't have enough time to pick up speed for that. But yeah, fun course. Speaking of the AI having problems, looks like the AI has a lot of problems on this track. But yeah, it's a fun course. I like the whole, like, the ice breaks away a little more in the later laps. It's harder to get in the upper route stuff. Bowser's Castle. I like Bowser's Castle in this game. I don't love it. I definitely think Wii's is significantly better. Wexos and Atlas. I think 8's is significantly better. Boy, I can tell that I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I have it based on how freaking distracted I get by when I record this series. So ultimately, my big problem with this version of Bowser's Castle lies in the fact that it's like 90% outside. Well, no, 90% is way too high. Okay, that's an extreme exaggeration. It's majority outside, it feels like. Like, this beginning section is good. That barrel is neat. This section's, like, kind of in a cave. Okay. Also, that part does not need to be underwater. That's clearly like, well, we gotta have underwater in the Bowser's Castle for this game, because that's one of the main gimmicks. But then, like, I don't... Like, controller seems to be giving out. I just started slowing down even though I'm holding A. Actually, less of this is outside than I realized, just playing this right now. For some reason, I always feel like that cliff section is, like, takes up way too much of the course. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's an alright level. Just hit the ceiling there. I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe I noticed them. Those green windows that were back there, I believe actually make an appearance in the queue line for Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge at Universal Studios. I believe I saw that in a video. I don't know for sure, because as of this recording, I have not ridden it yet, but should everything go according to plan, I will be in 2 weeks or so. Is there something just wrong with that part of the course? It's the second time at that part of the course where I've been holding A and, like, the gas just stopped working. Either that or it's just a weird coincidence. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun enough course. It's just not particularly interesting as far as Bowser's Castles go. In fact, I'd say I might like... I definitely like Wii's more, I definitely like 8's more. I might like DS's more, actually, which I don't think I realized until just now. I had a lot of fun when I replayed the DS one for this series a few months, well, like 8 months ago now. Fuck, I forgot how that path worked, and now I'm probably gonna lose the race because of it. And now I'm definitely gonna lose the race because of it. Oh, I did! I slowed down to see if I could get him, and I did, but I don't think it's gonna help me. Nope. Alright, well. You win some, you lose some, I guess. Shouldn't have gone for that shortcut, especially when I couldn't see it in VR. And also, I think it required a mushroom. Rainbow Road. Rainbow motherfucking Road in Mario Kart 7 is weird in the sense that when I first played this course in 7, I'm like, that was very good. It's not one of my favorites, but it was very good. And like, the more that I played it, it's like I inevitably would suddenly have a race online where things are close, and then you start the third section and like, fuck, I didn't read the names that did it, I'm sorry. Where a race is close, and you start the final lap, or final section, and you're just hauling ass down the straightaway, trying to get all the boosts you can, as you like glide and ramp off and everything, that you're just like, fuck, this course is good. And yeah, no. And then I had the exact same experience with Mario Kart 8, where I kept saying, this is the best Rainbow Road. And then they brought it back for 8 Deluxe. I'm like, that wasn't as good as I remember. It was fine. And then, like, I had a race online where it was really close and, like, coming down to the final straight, and the Mario Kart 64 part of the song kicked in. I'm just like, fuck, this is awesome. So, yeah, no, I do think this is the best Rainbow Road. It's like, this is the only course in this game that really... Wow! Super triple fucked me there. This is the only course in this game that makes particularly... I keep holding Y. Oh, because I was playing 8 Deluxe earlier to... The buttons are all wrong, mapped differently on here. I keep hitting the wrong buttons to try and do my boost shit. But yeah, no, this is the best Rainbow Road. This is the only one in this game, of course, in this game that really capitalizes on the 3-segment rule to me. Oh god, it's close. Like, okay, I tricked going off that. I don't know why I didn't get anything. And my Quest 2's battery's low. That's a problem. Especially since I was at 75% before this video started. so hopefully I'll make it to the end of this track. Wow, okay. Can I please drive? Thank you. Nope, apparently I can't. Okay. Let's try and win this race. Oh god, everyone is falling off. I'm already in second. I'm already back to first. I think the AI needs a little work on that section. I'm not even watching the road anymore. I'm just watching the AI fuck up on the mini-map. Well, usually it's like a fun section. That race sucked. It sucked for a multitude of reasons. Like I was sitting there talking about like how fun the final section was, and I didn't even get to mentally process it because I'm like constantly getting hit by items. My headset's telling me my battery's low. Like my head was completely out of it. Well, that sucks. What do I say about this course? Now that my mind was completely taken off of it. Really awesome design. I love the ending turn and stuff. There's just... I think part of my problem with this particular iteration is I wish I'm still waiting on a version of this that I like for Mario Kart Wii. This version made the least amount of changes that I disagreed with, which is why I went with this version. But it has some awkward transitions, like that bit of road that I was just trying to look at there. Like, the replacement for the glider sections is kind of terrible, not gonna lie. Even not in VR, like, that's a blind jump you basically make off that asteroid down there. Visuals could probably do a little updating, use a little updating. But the original course and the version A Deluxe, I love this version of Rainbow Road. It really grows on me over time. I better wrap this up because clearly my headset's battery's dying. So thank you very much for watching. Next time we'll take a look at... You can tell my brain's not in it because I had to think of what's the next game in the series after Mario Kart 7? Mario Kart 8. We'll take a look at the few Mario Kart 8 tracks. There's only 8 of them in this pack, unless there's some sort of massive movement to make a bunch of really high quality remakes before I record the next episode. I don't think that'll happen though, so thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!